So this is the scene we are going to create today. At the first glance, it may look a bit intimidating, but no worries. A complete beginner with the basic knowledge of the engine can easily realize the scene if the steps are followed. And I have used very few assets to create the scene, making it less intimidating for the beginners. As you can see, we have a background building here, we have a wagon, and we have some rocks. These rocks I have downloaded from the Megascan library. This building and this wagon I have downloaded from the Sketchfab. The only paid asset in the scene is this demon. I have downloaded it from the Megascan library. You can download it too if you need. I am leaving all the links for the assets in the description so you can download it and follow on the tutorial. Hope you are ready. Let's start. Run the engine and select games. Go for third person and turn on starter content and ray tracing. You can select a project file location and give it a name. Go to files and create a new level. I am going for an empty level here and hit create. As you can see, it's very dark because there are no lights. We have to add the lights by clicking on window, environment light mixture, and create a skylight. Create atmospheric light. Create sky atmosphere. Create volumetric cloud. Create height fog. And then scroll down and turn on volumetric fog. So you will have nice volumetric fog in the scene. Close this. Now we need a landscape. Go to the selection mode and hit on landscape. Here we are going to change anything, just create. And I'm not going to sculpt it anyway. So just leave it flat and get back to selection mode. Here you have your landscape. Now it's time to download our 3D assets and bring everything to the engine. To do that, I'm going to open the Sketchfab and I'm going to download this wagon and this chapel. You can find the links in the description so you can download it. To download, just scroll down and download 3D models. These are the formats available. I'm going for the OBJ. And make a folder, call this chapel. And save the file. Do the same for the jail wagon. Scroll down, download. Here you have FBX file, so you can download it. I'm going to create another folder called jail wagon. Save it. Whenever you download the free assets from the Sketchfab, don't forget to copy the credits and leave it in the description when you publish. After downloading, open the file. You can see this is a zip file. Just unzip this. Sometimes you will find other zipped files inside a folder, so make sure everything is extracted. Okay, this is your 3D object, and here you have your textures. Do the same for the other file. Right click, extract, and here you have your 3D model, and here you have your textures. Now you are ready to import them to the engine. To import, go to the engine, right click, create new folder. I'm going to call these 3D models. Open. And then we are going to drag and drop them into the folder. Just click both and drag. In here, click on build animate, import all. Import. And close. As you can see, it has imported in many pieces, but no worries. Select here and go for static mesh So you can isolate only static mesh in the folder. If you turn this off, you can see all the assets. But if you turn this on, you can see only the static mesh. Select all the static mesh and drag them into the scene. So it become one piece. Before you do anything, right click on it and group. So it remains as a one piece. Now let's import our chapel. Go to 3D models, turn off static mesh. Here you have your chapel, source, and this is your chapel static mesh. As you can see, it's very small. So go to the details panel and lock this lock. Increase the size. Let's add a mannequin here for the size reference. So go to characters here, mannequins, meshes, and bring a mannequin here. So you'll have an idea about the scale of the scene. As you can see, it is not textured. You'll have to do it manually. To do that, let's go to our 3D models. And I'm going to click on chapel here. Source. You can see there are two materials. Click on it. And select the first texture here and bring it to the scene. And connect the RGB to the base color. Save. Close. And do the same for the second material. Double click and select the second material here. RGB, connect to the base color. Save it. Now you have your model textured nicely. Let's do the same for the wagon here. Select the wagon, 3D models, wagon, source. As you can see, here you have two materials, one for the body and the other for the wheels and some other stuffs. Click on delete the existing one and 3D models, gel wagon, textures, and you can see here it's already indicated base color, metallic, normal, and roughness, ambient occlusion. Take the base color and connect it to the base color. Take the metallic, connect it to the metallic. Normal, connect to the normals. And take the roughness and connect it to the roughness slot. And we have an ambient occlusion. Take this and connect to the ambient occlusion here. That's it. Save. And now you can see it's textured too. Now let's add a landscape material to our landscape. To do that, go to your content browser, right click, add Quixel content, and search for burnt forest. And I'm going to use this burnt forest floor. Download it, and when it's downloaded, you can see this blue arrow. Click on it to add to the content job. Now in the Megascan folder, in the surfaces, you can see you have the material here. To add this material to the landscape, select the landscape and scroll down in the details panel here and search for landscape material. And just drag and drop into the slot. As you can see, the material is applied, but its styling is so high. So let's fix this. Double click on the material. Click here, tiling, and tiling X and Y, change it to 1.2, and it looks better. Save and close. Now let's add some Quixel Bridge content to populate the scene. And here you can search for the assets you need. I have already downloaded them, so I can find it in the locals here. I'm going to use this ram skull and click on the blue arrow to add into the scene. And I'm going to take this rubbles here. And I'm going to use a broken wall, this one. And we need some other animal skulls here. That's it. Now you can find them in the Megascan folder. 3D asset folder contain all the 3D assets here, and the surfaces contains the textures and materials, like so. If you click on the static mesh switch here, you can see all the static mesh. Now it's time to add a camera into the scene. To add a camera, click on 3 lines here. Create camera here. Create cine camera actor. Now go to your camera, rename it if you need, and select the camera. Right click on it and pilot the camera. Now let's make some changes in the settings here in the film back. I'm going to set the sensor width 36 and the sensor height 15. For the lens settings, I'm going to use 50 mm prime. And in the search for exposure. Here in the exposure metering settings, check and turn into manual. Here, exposure, set it to 10. Now we have to add a post-process volume into the scene. Click here, search for post-process and bring it to the scene. Now, with the post-process selected, go to the details panel and search for unbound. Click on infinity extend unbound. That's it. Now let's adjust the lighting of the scene. Click Ctrl L and move the mouse to change the direction of the sun. We need a dark scene, so I'm going to make it so dark. Somewhere here. Somewhere here. And you can see there are many practical lights in the scene, but they are not lit. We have to add some lights here to bring the scene to life. Go to Place Actors window, click on Light, and here we are going to add some point lights. Just click and drag and bring there. If you click F, you can focus on into it. Then I'm going to add somewhere over here. And you can adjust the settings here in the details panel. Select your point light, and here you can adjust the intensity. I'm going to leave it 0.5. And if you increase the source radius, you can see the shadows get much smoother. Let's see how it looks. And I'm going to change the color to a warm color. Like decrease the radius. Bring it to 1. But it casts a weird shadow in the background. So let's put a light here. I'm going to use a spotlight for that. the soft radius. I'm going to increase the source radius to get rid of that hard shadows. And I'm going to change the color into a warm color. Okay. Let's see how it looks. That looks nice. Now let's copy these two lights. Click Alt and drag so you can duplicate it. And place them the way you need. One here. And let's add another light here. Nice. As you can see inside the chapel, it's very dark and that is not good. If you add some small lights inside, it will be much more dynamic. So let's do it. Add some point lights inside just to lit the darkest parts and making it much more dynamic. And decrease the intensity if you need. I'm going to set it to, so it is not that harsh, but you can see what's going on inside. Now let's create a level sequence. To do that, click on this flap, add new level sequence, give it a name, and save it. Now drag and drop your camera into the sequencer so you can animate it or you can lock the focal position. I'm going to bring it somewhere here and just put a keyframe on the first frame here, so it will be locked for all the time. Even if you change, if you click here, comes back to the original position. That will be handy. Now we can populate the scene with some 3D assets. I'm going to use these rubbles here, and it's very small. Increase the size. So it will rotate this to get all right. And we can add some rubbles to the ground too. Now let's bring our demon character. If you don't have the character, you can use any character you have. To libraries. I'm going to add this demon to my project and select your project and add to project. Close this. You can find it in the content jar here. Click on demon, turn off static mesh. And here you have your skeleton. Now let's add more light to the scene so it will give more depth to the scene. I'm going to add some point lights here. Adjust the intensity and color. And I'm going to add a floor light here. I'm going to use the rectangular light. Increase the source width and the height and adjust the light. I'm going to increase the intensity here. And play with the settings to get the desired look. And we have to add some smoke. And now we can add some smoke to the scene. To add the smoke, go to the content browser, search for starter content, particles, and here you can find steam. I'm going to bring this steam here, and you can adjust its size. Let's add one more here. And let's add some assets in the bottom. Go to the mega scans, 3D assets, and I'm going to add this campfire. Scale it up. And just copy and add one over here. Adjust the direction of the sun if it needed. As you can see here, I have added more lights in the scene. I have added some cool tones to separate the warm tones there. And with the smoke and all the lighting's done, if you look through the camera, it should look something like this. So our scene is completed. Now let's bring our live character into the scene. Alright, now let's bring our live character into the scene. To do that, go to your content browser, right click, create a new folder. I'm going to call this video. Open the folder, right click again, media, and select image media source. I'm going to call this tutorial. Now right click again, media, and create a media texture. Now double click on the image media source. And the sequence path, you can see here 3 dots, click on it. And I'm going to select this pre-keyed file here. This is a PNG format file. You can use also EXR files. You can find the links in the description to download this footage. So click on one of the image here and open. In the frame rate override, select 24 FPS. Save, close. Now get back to the sequencer. Click on track, media track. And in the media track, you can see a plus icon here. Click on it. Media source. And select the image media source we have created now. Now, right click on the media source, properties, and come down here, media texture. Select the media texture that we have created now. That is tutorial 1. Now let's make a video material. Right click, materials, double click on the material, and select this. Go to the blend mode and turn to the masked. Shading mode to unlit. That means the scene light will not affect our character. And make this two-sided too, so you can see it from the both sides. Now drag and drop your media texture here. Now let's build the blueprint. Search for raise black level per percentage. And create a scalar parameter here. And call this black level. Set the default value to 1. And now let's create a desaturation node. I'll maximize this. Now create a multiply node. And a power node. Now search for constant tree vector. Right click on it and convert to parameter. Call this color. And set the values for the R1, for the G1, for the B1. And let's give the channel names. The red channel is going to be our saturation. And the green channel is going to be our brightness. And the B channel is going to be our contrast. Create a 1- node. Connect that into the fraction of the desaturation node. Now take the brightness and connect to the multiply. Contrast to the power exposure node here. Now connect the power node to the emissive color. Take the alpha channel of the texture to the opacity mask. Now you can see our character is here. Now save it, close it, right click on the material that we have created now and create a material instance. Go to the place actors window, search for plane and bring a plane to the scene. Make it bigger and rotate. And let's add our material instance to the plane. Just drag and drop to the plane. As you can see, our character is in the scene, but it is rotated. Scale and rotate. Now if you double click on the material instance, you can adjust the brightness and color. Turn on color here. I'm going to adjust the brightness and contrast to match to the scene. Adjust the levels until it is blend with the 3D environments here. Save. And now if you go to the sequencer, play it, you can see our character is working on the scene. But it is going to the other direction, so just rotate. Let's rotate here. And here you have your character in the scene. Now let's give some animation to the demon character. If you have the character downloaded from the Megascans, you will get some pre-animations comes with the pack, so you can use that. To animate the demon character, select it and drag it into the sequencer. In the animation section, you can see a plus icon here. Click on it. And you can see all the animation assigned to this character. I'm going to use this one. And this is your animation sequence. Bring it. As you can see, your character is working. Now let's give some camera animation to the scene. To do that, put your playhead on the first frame and go to your cine camera actor here. In the transform section, put a keyframe on the first frame. And then bring the playhead to the last frame and move the camera wherever you want. I'm going to move like this, and let's bring somewhere over here. As you can see, the focus is shifting. So let's track the focus to the character. To do that, select your camera, go to the details panel. In the focus settings, set it to tracking and pick the character you want to be tracked. I'm going to pick our plane, so it will be always focused on the plane. Now in the last frame, let's put a keyframe here and let's see how it works. As you can see, we have a nice camera animation added to the scene. Okay, now let's render it out. To render the file, click on this icon here. And if it is not opening, that means you haven't enabled the movie render queue plugin. To enable the plugin, just go to settings, plugins, and search for movie render queue. As you can see, I have already enabled it. If you haven't, just tick and restart the engine. Now go to unsaved config here, delete the JPG sequence, click on settings, click on anti-aliasing, and I'm going to set the temporal sample count to 32. If you have a slow machine, you can reduce the temporal sample count. Click on override anti-aliasing. Now click on .exr sequence 16-bit. Here you don't want to change anything. Now let's get to the output tab here. Set a file location. I'm going to create a new folder here. And select the folder. Now for the output resolution, I'm going to set 4096 by 1716. If you need to change the custom frame rate here, you can do it, but I'm going to leave it 24 FPS. Accept and render local. After rendering it out, you can take this footage to any color grading software and you can make this look better. Thanks for watching.